This is a $5,000 laptop. I worked my ass off for this thing. I'm not just gonna give it to you.
But I deserve it.
Yo guys, welcome back. It is Ripe again. Today we got episode 5 of our r/EntitledParents series. And today you're gonna witness some of the most stuck up entitled parents, and this time actually entitled aunts, you have ever seen. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. My crazy aunt tries to steal my MacBook, and when she cannot, she breaks it. So I am female, 17, and also on mobile. This is my EP story. My auntie and her 3 children came from Texas to visit us for the weekend. I wasn't very happy because her oldest son, who's 19, would always pick on me when I was younger. It was the first time in 10 years that she visited, so she comes to our house with the oldest son and the younger son, as well as a younger daughter. I put on my best fake smile and I say hi. I tell the 2 youngest that they can go upstairs and play on my Xbox until it is supper. I sit down beside my twin brother and my mom. I do lots of video editing, Photoshop, etc. and Final Cut Pro X is my software of choice. Because of the video editing, I got myself a 15-inch MacBook Pro a few months ago, since my 2013 iMac wasn't cutting it anymore. As everybody was talking and me and brother are using our phones because our mom said we had to be down here to catch up with everybody. The EA goes upstairs to see the house. I follow her and offer to show her around the house. When she sees my MacBook, she asks, "Who does that belong to?" The EA is the entitled aunt, and Krusty, or me, well, that's myself. EA:
Krusty, whose laptop is that?
"Oh, that's my laptop."
Can I hold it?
Sure. The EA holds it.
Wow, Krusty, this feels nice. Can I keep it?
Absolutely not.
I'll pay you. This was probably like $500.
This is a $5,000 laptop. I worked my ass off for this thing. I'm not just gonna give it to you.
Krusty, I deserve it. I haven't seen you guys in like 10 years and you don't even get me a gift?
Is that my fault? I don't think so.
Well, since you won't give it to me, you shouldn't be able to use it either.
This lovely little woman opened the laptop and threw it on the ground, and then stepped on it with her high heels. If we had carpeted the floors, the laptop would have been probably fine, but we didn't. And once she stepped on it, I knew it was done. So I call my mom and dad and they come running up. My mom quickly asks why she did it, and she literally mumbled,
"Because she wouldn't give it to me."
So now she and all her children are banned from our house. I am turning 18 in less than a week, so I will wait until I'm officially an adult to be able to sue her for the damages. Wish me luck. Edit number 5. I won the case. I showed pictures and everything to a judge. And my mom and dad heard the screaming. And when they came up, they saw her stepping on the laptop and also took pictures. She owes me a lot of money. I am so happy. This story, it's not that crazy, but it's still kind of not believable. Like, why would the aunt do that? Like, why is she so enraged that she destroys the MacBook? But you know, a wise man once said, "Who needs enemies if you have friends," well, or in this case family, like that. My son broke his computer, but he's allowed to use yours. So I was 12 and my parents moved us to a new place, and our neighbors were unpleasant. There were the EM and the father, never met him, cannot really call him entitled, with 2 sons. One was 13 and the other one was about 8 or 9. The older brother, the OB, was a decent guy. We were school bus pals, but the younger one was an issue. However, looking back on it now, he probably had a social disorder like Asperger's or perhaps ADHD. My mom did not like this kid. A few incidents happened before with him, and my mom nicknamed him the orange-haired goblin. I'm gonna just call him the OG. This story is told from my mom's perspective as she dealt with the EM. Despite this happening over 10 years ago, I do remember that it happened. But the written dialogue here is pulled from my mom's retelling of the story, so there's a tad of embellishment. This was in the day of dial-up in my country. It was fantastic. My mom and I had a system where I would quickly load a flash game with a heads up and then disconnect from the internet and plug the phone back in. By the way, just for the record, dial-up was not great. I don't agree at all. So anyway, it was the school holidays, so it was just my mom and me at home when dad was at work. So it was an otherwise empty house when this happened. OP, you're supposed to give a heads up when you're unplugging the phone. I need to make a call. Me from the backyard. I'm not on the computer though, I'm outside. My mom pokes her head out of the kitchen window, sees me and looks confused, then turns around. She and I have the same idea, so we both head to the room with the computer and we find OG. Mom, excuse me, what are you doing? My mom told me I could use your computer. Why don't you use yours? Despite hating this kid, my mother is not unreasonable. She's not going to get annoyed with an 8 or 9-year-old. I broke it. Well, I'm sorry, but she cannot decide that. You have to ask for permission. Besides, you cannot let yourself in our house anyway. You can finish the game, but I need to plug the phone back in, so you cannot load anything else. Mom then gives me a look that meant keep an eye on him. And she later told me she didn't want him to break our computer if he indeed broke his own, so she needed me to keep an eye on him. OG then leaves and then 10 minutes later we hear a knock on the door. I go to answer, but my mom gets there first. EM.
OG told me you won't let him on your computer.
Mom, sorry, who?
My son.
Oh right, the kid who let himself in. He told me you told him he could use my computer. Why is that?
His was broken and I needed to entertain him.
Oh, so that makes it okay? I wouldn't have minded letting him in if you had just discussed it with me first.
He's an angel. There's no harm in him using it.
Clearly there is harm if he broke his one. At this point, the EM must have been getting annoyed. I heard this part for myself as she started shouting very loudly.
He only broke his keyboard. He spilled his drink on it. It's safe for him to use yours because he learned his lesson.
Still, that doesn't give him or you the right to come and go as you please and use our property without permission.
But you said you would have let him, so what's the problem?
Well, my problem is a strange kid I barely know just walked into my house and used my computer because his mom said he could. If that's how you treat your neighbors, then you or your children are not welcome here anymore. My mom then slammed the door and that was the last we heard from the EM, though she would stare at us if she saw us leave the house. My mom would make jokes about the kid if she saw him in the street, like, "Crap, it's the orange-haired goblin, remember to lock the door!" When school continued, I was talking to the older brother on the school bus. He told me that his mom asked him to steal our keyboard if he ever comes around again. He understood that his mom was a wackadoodle, so we just had a laugh about it. PS, a lot of people are wondering how the kid got inside without us knowing. Doors are usually kept unlocked where we live, but we learned our lesson and started locking it right after. This is once again a story where there's no entitled kid, but the mom is just incredibly entitled and stuck up as hell. Also, I really like how she says, "I need to entertain him," as if that would give her the right to do anything she wants. Just some people really shouldn't get children. I do feel bad for the kid in the story though, to be honest.
Pass me that phone now.
So a while back, I went for a cultural exchange program in China. The story does not take place there. However, it takes place on the plane to China. We were a bunch of boys going on a trip. Although it was 2 in the morning, we could not sleep. So we were awake, which was fortunate. In the plane, my friend pulled out his phone and started playing a game on it. Things went pretty well for the next hour or so. Then, a young boy sitting next to us wakes us up. His parent is the EP. EP.
Pass my boy your phone.
F for friend. Why? EP.
He's bored.
Me. So
he should get the phone.
Me and F look at each other. F. But then I will be bored.
Too bad, you're older, you can cope with it.
So can your son. He's like 8.
But he's bored.
Throughout all this time, the son has been half awake, half asleep. However, now he's fully awake and mutters, "Leave them alone, Mom."
You have woken him up.
I don't need to point out how stupid that was. So we started ignoring her. My friend made a big show of passing the phone to me, and then I passed it back to him. The EP is fuming. She takes out her phone. Me dripping with sarcasm. "Wow, you have a phone! Who would have guessed? Let your son play it then." Needless to say, she didn't talk to us after that. She called a flight attendant.
Flight attendant, they stole my phone.
The flight attendant takes one look at us and bursts out laughing. She was the same flight attendant to come by earlier and see us playing with the phone. "Well, if they did, you have reported it a bit too late, because it is theirs now." The EP goes red. Her son has already fallen asleep again. She ignores us playing. We make sure to turn up the volume so she can hear it, but it is not loud enough to wake her boy up. The satisfaction was immense, knowing she was watching us play games after she asked us such a ludicrous request that was rebuffed. I would say that story was a collaboration, so to say, between Entitled Parents and r/Petty Revenge, because they definitely got their revenge at the end. Also, it's interesting that the Entitled Parent humanoid also exists in China. That actually makes me question if those stories like r/Entitled Parents, if something similar exists in different languages. That would be really interesting. Also, I gotta say, this story, as opposed to many others you can find on the subreddit nowadays, seems like a real story. It's not too over the top. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please tell me in the comments if you liked the crazy voice changes or if I should get back to the more calm style that I had at the beginning. But as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new videos.